Captain Jinwoo Park floated in the command center of the research ship Stellar Dawn, watching Earth grow smaller through the massive viewing window. The blue and white marble spun slowly in the darkness of space, looking peaceful and quiet. He had no idea that invisible eyes were watching him and every other human in the galaxy. 3 months ago, Jinwoo and his crew had left Earth to study strange energy readings in the outer solar system. It was supposed to be a simple mission, the kind of boring scientific work that most people forgot about within a week. But space had other plans, and today would change everything for humanity. Commander So-young Kim stood next to the sensor station, frowning at the readings on her screen. Something was wrong with the background radiation levels. They were too high and too organized. Background radiation was supposed to be random, like static on an old radio, but these patterns looked almost like they had been made on purpose. She called out to Jinwoo, "Captain, we have some weird readings on the long-range sensors." Jinwoo pushed himself across the zero-gravity command center to look at her screen. "What kind of weird?" "The energy patterns are too clean," So-young said, pointing at the flowing lines of data too organized to be natural. Jinwoo studied the display for a long moment. In space, weird usually meant dangerous, but these readings looked almost like equipment noise. Maybe their sensors were broken again. The Stellar Dawn was an older ship, and things broke down regularly. "Run a full diagnostic on the sensor array," he ordered. "Maybe we have a malfunction somewhere." What Jinwoo and So-young did not know was that they were looking at the energy signatures of the largest invasion fleet in galactic history. The Velkari Empire had been watching humanity for decades, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. Their ships used advanced dimensional folding technology that made them completely invisible to human sensors. War Prime Thexan stood on the bridge of his flagship, studying holographic displays of Earth and its scattered space colonies. His species had conquered 17 star systems using the same strategy. Observe, study, plan, and then strike before the enemy even knew they were under attack. The humans appeared to be a typical primitive species. They had barely managed to reach their own moon a few generations ago, and their technology was thousands of years behind Velkari science. Their weapons were crude, their ships were slow, and their military organization was chaotic. Perfect. Thexan thought another easy conquest. His tactical officer, War Commander Kalask, approached with the final battle reports. "Lord Thexan, our analysis is complete. The human military forces are scattered across their solar system with no unified command structure. Their largest warships carry weapons that cannot penetrate our basic shields and their detection capabilities." Thexan asked, completely blind to our presence. "The humans use primitive electromagnetic sensors. They cannot detect dimensional folding or quantum stealth. Our ships remain invisible until we choose to decloak." Thexan smiled, showing rows of sharp teeth. The Velkari had evolved from predators, and conquest was in their nature. They had built an empire spanning dozens of star systems by being smarter, faster, and more advanced than every other species they encountered. "Begin the final approach," he commanded. "We attack at their dawn back on Earth." Dr. Hyunwoo Lee was having trouble sleeping again. His laboratory in Seoul was supposed to be quiet at night, but his experimental quantum resonance detector kept making noise. The machine was designed to study dark matter by detecting tiny ripples in space-time, but lately it had been acting strange. The detector was picking up massive readings much larger than anything natural should produce. Hyunwoo had checked and rechecked his calculations, but the numbers did not make sense. According to his instruments, something huge was disturbing space-time near Earth. He picked up his phone and called his research partner, Dr. Minji Choi, who was working late at the European Research Center in Geneva. "Minji, are you seeing anything unusual on your quantum detectors?" Her voice sounded tired and confused. "Yes, actually, my equipment has been going crazy for the past week. The readings are enormous, but I cannot find the source." Hyunwoo stared at his instruments, which showed energy patterns that should have been impossible. Something was out there, something big, and it was getting closer to Earth. But what could generate quantum distortions on such a massive scale? Meanwhile, on the Stellar Dawn, Lieutenant Dong Yun Nam was trying to fix the communication system for the third time this week. The quantum communication array kept picking up interference that made long-range messages sound like static, Captain Park. The comm system is acting up again. Donghyun reported, I keep getting weird interference patterns on all frequencies. Jinwoo sighed. Space was full of radiation that could mess with communications, but this interference seemed different. It had structure and rhythm, like someone was testing equipment. Can you clean up the signal? He asked. I have tried everything, Donghyun said. The interference is too strong and it is coming from multiple directions. What none of the humans realized was that they were detecting the final preparations for the Valkyrie attack. The alien fleet was running system checks on their weapons and shields. The energy signatures from hundreds of warships were leaking through their dimensional cloaking, creating the strange readings that human scientists were picking up across the solar system. The irony was perfect. The Valkyrie had spent decades studying human technology and had concluded that humans were too primitive to detect their presence. But human quantum technology, while crude by alien standards, operated on frequencies that the Valkyrie had never encountered. Their advanced sensors were not designed to hide from equipment that should not have been able to detect them in the first place. Dr. Lee stared at his quantum detector as the readings climbed higher and higher. Something was coming. Something that would change everything. But he had no way to know that humanity was about to face the greatest threat in its history on the bridge of his flagship, War Prime. Thexan gave the final order to his fleet. All ships prepare for dimensional decloak in 60 seconds. Target the major population centers first. Disable their communications and destroy their leadership. The conquest of Earth begins now. The Valkyrie ships moved into position around Earth, each one invisible to human sensors. Each ship carried enough firepower to destroy entire cities. Their plan was simple, quick, and brutal. Humanity would be conquered before they even knew they were under attack. But the Valkyrie had made one critical error in their planning. They had studied human technology and found it primitive. They had analyzed human military tactics and found them chaotic. They had observed human society and found it disorganized. What they had not considered was that sometimes being primitive, chaotic, and disorganized could be exactly the right thing. In his sole laboratory, Dr. Lee watched his quantum detector reach readings that should have been impossible. Something enormous was about to happen, and humanity was completely unprepared. The war was about to begin, and humans had no idea it was coming. Captain Jinwoo Park floated in the command center of his research ship, completely unaware that in less than an hour everything would change. The peaceful blue marble of Earth spinning slowly in space was about to become a battlefield, and somehow, against all odds and without even knowing they were fighting, humanity was about to win. The attack began at exactly 3 in the morning when most of Earth was sleeping. War Prime Thexan gave the order, and hundreds of Valkyrie warships suddenly appeared in the darkness around Earth. Their massive hulls gleamed with alien metal and their weapons charged with deadly energy. But something went wrong immediately. Dr. Hyunwoo Lee was still awake in his Seoul laboratory. When every piece of quantum equipment in his building started screaming, the quantum resonance detector that had been acting strange all week suddenly went completely crazy. The readings were so high that the display could not show them properly. At the same moment across the world, every quantum experiment on the planet began behaving in ways that should have been impossible. Dr. Minji Choi in Geneva watched her quantum computer suddenly connect to systems she had never seen before. Professor Jiwon Yang in Tokyo stared in amazement as her laboratory equipment began displaying data from laboratories on the other side of the world. The massive energy signatures from the decloaking Valkyrie fleet were creating a cascade effect through every quantum device on Earth. The alien ships used dimensional technology that operated on frequencies human quantum equipment could detect. The result was something no one had planned: an accidental global quantum network that connected every quantum research facility on the planet. Minji grabbed her phone and called Hyunwoo. Her voice was excited and confused. Hyunwoo, are you seeing this? My quantum computer is connected to yours somehow. I can see your data in real time. Hyunwoo stared at his screens in wonder. This should not be possible, but the evidence was right in front of him. Every quantum laboratory, on Earth was suddenly part of one giant network. "This is incredible," he said. But what could cause something like this? Neither scientist realized they had just witnessed the birth of humanity's secret weapon against an alien invasion in orbit around Earth. The Velkari fleet prepared to fire their first salvo. War Prime Thexan stood on his command bridge watching the blue planet below. Soon it would be another conquered world in the Velkari Empire. "Fire," he commanded. The alien energy weapons discharged, sending beams of destructive force toward Earth's major cities. The beams should have caused massive explosions and destroyed millions of lives, but something impossible happened instead. Dr. Choi had been running atmospheric experiments for months, using quantum field generators to study how particles behaved in the upper atmosphere. The thin quantum fields she had created were supposed to be harmless research tools, but when the Velkari energy beams hit these fields, something amazing occurred. Instead of exploding, the energy beams began quantum tunneling. The destructive force that should have destroyed cities was redirected harmlessly into empty space. Some beams created beautiful aurora displays. Others opened temporary portals that led nowhere. A few actually boosted electrical power to human cities instead of destroying them. War Prime Thexan watched the impossible results with growing confusion. His tactical officers reported that their weapons were completely missing their targets or producing effects that made no sense. "What is happening?" he demanded. "How can such primitive beings counter our weapons?" His science officer, War Commander Zelith, studied the sensor readings with confusion. "Lord Thexan, their technology appears to be interfering with our dimensional systems somehow. Their quantum fields are operating on frequencies we did not expect." "This is impossible," Thexan snarled. "Their quantum technology is thousands of years behind ours." Meanwhile, on the research ship, Stellar, Don Captain Jinwoo Park was dealing with his own crisis. The ship's quantum drive had started behaving erratically, jumping between normal space and something else entirely. Chief Engineer Taehyung Shin reported from the engine room, "Captain, the quantum drive is resonating with some kind of external energy source. The power fluctuations are off the charts." "What kind of external energy?" Jinwoo asked. "I have never seen anything like it," Taehyung replied. "The quantum field around our ship keeps shifting. Between dimensions, it's like something huge is interfering with local spacetime." Jinwoo did not know that the Stellar Dawn was accidentally jumping in and out of the same dimensional space the Velkari used for their stealth technology. Every time the human ship phase shifted, it created massive disruptions in the alien fleet's formation. Navigator Minhyuk-on watched in terror as stars appeared and disappeared around them. "Captain, we are not in normal space anymore. The navigation systems show us moving through some kind of dimensional matrix." The Velkari had never encountered anything like this. Their dimensional warfare tactics, perfected over centuries of conquest, were becoming useless against an enemy that seemed to exist partially outside normal reality. Human ships were appearing and disappearing unpredictably, making targeting impossible. Back on Earth, the accidental quantum internet was allowing scientists to work together in ways they had never imagined. Dr. Lee in Seoul was sharing data instantly with Dr. Yang in Tokyo, who was coordinating with researchers in London and Moscow. The chaotic democratic mess of human science was suddenly becoming organized. Dr. Boyoung Kim, working late at Moscow University, made the first breakthrough discovery. When she increased the quantum field density around her laboratory, the strange energy readings became clearer. Almost like she was looking through some kind of invisibility screen. She immediately shared her findings. Through the quantum network, Dr. Jamino in Sydney read her data and tried the same experiment. The results were shocking. When he adjusted his quantum field generators, certain areas of empty space suddenly showed massive objects. "These are ships," he reported through the quantum network. "There are enormous ships all around Earth, but they are cloaked somehow. Our quantum fields can see through their invisibility." Within hours, human scientists around the world were working together to map the locations of hundreds of alien warships. The enemy that had planned to attack from complete invisibility was being revealed by equipment the aliens had dismissed as too primitive to matter. War Prime Thexan received increasingly desperate reports from his fleet commanders. Our stealth systems are failing randomly. The humans can somehow detect our ships. Their primitive quantum technology is creating interference patterns that disrupt our dimensional cloaking. How is this possible? Thexan demanded war. Commander Kalask studied the tactical displays. The humans appear to be using their quantum equipment in ways that violate standard physics. Their technology should not be able to affect dimensional space, but somehow it does. The truth was becoming clear to the Velkari. The humans were not just primitive, they were so primitive that they used quantum technology without understanding how it worked. They had accidentally created interference patterns that countered the most advanced stealth systems in the galaxy. Dr. Yunji Song, a graduate student at Cambridge University, was working on her quantum mechanics thesis when she noticed something important in the data. The interference patterns were not random. They followed specific frequencies. That suggested the alien technology relied heavily on dimensional manipulation. She shared her discovery through the quantum network, and within minutes researchers around the world were testing her theory. The results confirmed what she suspected. Human quantum technology operated on exactly the right frequencies to disrupt alien dimensional systems. Captain Jinwoo Park received emergency orders to return to Earth immediately, but his ship's quantum drive was now completely out of control. Instead of normal faster-than-light travel, the stellar dawn was phase-shifting through dimensions, randomly appearing in different parts of the solar system without warning. The Velkari found themselves fighting an enemy that made no sense. Human. Ships materialized inside their formations, attacked with primitive weapons, and then vanished again before they could respond. The dimensional warfare advantages that had won them an empire were useless against opponents who moved through dimensional space using broken technology held together with determination and luck. War Prime. Thexan realized with growing horror that his perfect invasion was falling apart. The humans had not developed counter-technology they had accidentally stumbled onto it while trying to understand how the universe worked. Their chaotic, unorganized approach to science had created the perfect defense against his most advanced weapons. The war had begun, and already the impossible was happening. General Seokjin Ko stood in the underground command center beneath Seoul, watching reports flood in from around the world. Cities were reporting strange lights in the sky instead of explosions. Power grids were getting stronger instead of failing, and military radar was picking up massive objects that appeared and disappeared like ghosts. "This makes no sense," he said to his staff. "We should be under attack, but the enemy weapons seem to be helping us instead of hurting us." Colonel Young-hee Park, his chief of staff, studied the tactical displays. "General, our conventional military doctrine is completely useless here. We cannot fight an enemy we cannot see, and their weapons are not working the way weapons should work." Around the world, military leaders were having the same conversation. The attack everyone expected had turned into something nobody understood. Enemy ships were visible one moment and gone the next. Their weapons created light shows instead of destruction, and human technology was behaving in ways that defied explanation. But in laboratories around the world, scientists were starting to understand what was happening. Dr. Hyun-Woo Lee and Dr. Minji Choi worked together through the quantum network, sharing data and discoveries in real time. The accidental connection between every quantum laboratory on Earth had created the largest scientific collaboration in human history. "We are looking at this wrong," Minji said during a video call with researchers from 6 different countries. "These are not equipment malfunctions. These are interference patterns. Our quantum technology is disrupting their systems, Doctor." Lee nodded as he studied the data streams flowing across his screens. The aliens use dimensional manipulation for everything. Their stealth, their weapons, their shields all depend on controlling dimensional space. But our quantum experiments create random interference in those same dimensions. Professor Jiwon Yang in Tokyo made the next breakthrough discovery. She had been running quantum entanglement experiments when the attack began, and noticed that her equipment could predict where the invisible alien ships would appear next. "I can track them," she announced through the quantum network. The quantum entanglement creates resonance patterns that show where their ships will decloak. Each time they try to become invisible again, my equipment shows me exactly where they are going. Within hours, scientists around the world were sharing techniques for tracking and disrupting alien technology. Dr. Bo-young Kim in Moscow discovered how to make quantum fields dense enough to force alien ships to become visible. Dr. Jamin Oh, in Sydney, found ways to use quantum computers to jam alien communications. The chaotic, democratic mess of human science was becoming a coordinated defense network. Meanwhile, Captain Jinwoo Park and his crew on the Stellar Dawn were experiencing the strangest day of their lives. The ship continued jumping randomly through dimensions, appearing in different parts of the solar system without any control from the navigation systems. "We just appeared inside an asteroid field," Navigator Minhyuk An reported. "Then we were near Jupiter and now we are back at Earth. How is this possible, Chief?" Engineer Taehyung Shin called from the engine room. "Captain, the quantum drive is not following any known physics. The dimensional shifts are happening automatically, like the ship is being pulled by something. What they did not know was that their uncontrolled dimensional jumping was creating chaos throughout the Valkyrie fleet. Every time the Stellar Dawn phase shifted, it disrupted alien ship formations and made their targeting systems useless." Commander So-young Kim studied the sensor readings. "From their random jumps, Captain, I am picking up massive energy signatures during our dimensional shifts. We are not alone in this strange space. There are hundreds of large objects moving through the same dimensional layers we are using." Lieutenant Dong Yun-nam managed to boost the communication systems during one of their jumps. "Captain, I am receiving radio transmissions from what sounds like alien ships. They seem to be very confused and frustrated." The Valkyrie fleet was indeed confused and frustrated. War Prime Thexan received constant reports of system failures and impossible events from his ship commanders. "Lord Thexan, our dimensional stealth is failing randomly." One commander reported, "Human ships are appearing inside our formations, attacking with primitive weapons and then vanishing before we can respond." Another commander added, "Our weapons are not functioning properly. When we fire at human targets, the energy beams either miss completely or produce effects that make no sense. Some of our shots are actually powering human cities instead of destroying them." War Prime Thexan studied the tactical displays with growing anger. "This is impossible," he said. "Their technology is thousands of years behind ours. How can they counter systems they should not even be able to detect?" War Commander Kalask approached with more bad news. "Lord Thexan, our science teams have discovered the problem. Human quantum technology operates on frequencies that create interference with our dimensional systems. Their equipment should not be able to affect dimensional space, but it does. The humans are using their technology incorrectly." Thexan demanded. "Yes, Lord, but their incorrect usage is accidentally perfect for disrupting our systems. They have created quantum interference patterns that counter every advantage we possess." Back on Earth, the quantum network allowed instant communication between researchers who had never worked together before. Dr. Changmin Park, a quantum warfare specialist, was brought into the network from his laboratory in Busan. His expertise in theoretical quantum combat helped coordinate the growing human response. "We need to synchronize our efforts," he told the Global Research Network. "If we can coordinate all quantum experiments on Earth, we can create interference patterns strong enough to disable their entire fleet." Dr. Dahyun Ryu at the European Research Center began developing the mathematical models needed for planetary-scale quantum coordination. The calculations were incredibly complex, requiring input from researchers around the world. High school physics student Gayung Seo, working in her basement laboratory in Busan, contributed crucial calculations that professional scientists had missed. Her simple approach to quantum mechanics provided insights that advanced researchers had overlooked. "This is beautiful," said Professor Sang-hyuk Moon, coordinating research from 6 different continents. A high school student just solved a problem that has been puzzling quantum physicists for decades. The democratic chaos of human science was proving to be humanity's greatest strength. Every researcher, from professional scientists to amateur experimenters, was contributing to a defense that no single military could have planned. The Valkyrie had dismissed human scientific organization as primitive and inefficient, but that very chaos was making human responses impossible to predict or counter. Meanwhile, the Stellar Dawn continued its random dimensional jumps, each one causing more disruption to the alien fleet. Captain Park found himself accidentally commanding the most effective harassment campaign in military history. His ship appeared randomly throughout the solar system, attacked alien vessels with primitive human weapons and vanished again before the aliens could respond. We just fired our emergency flares at an alien battleship. Navigator On reported. They seem to cause some kind of system failure on their ship flares, Jinwoo asked in amazement. The quantum particles in our flares must interfere with their systems. Engineer Shin explained. Everything human-made seems to disrupt their technology, in some way. War Prime. Thexan realized his perfect invasion was becoming a disaster. The humans had not developed advanced counter-technology. They had accidentally stumbled onto it while trying to understand basic science. Their primitive chaotic approach was creating effects that his advanced civilization could not predict or control. The war was turning into something no military strategist had ever imagined. A battle between advanced organization and creative chaos. And chaos was winning. Dr. Lee looked at his quantum resonance detector, which now showed readings from hundreds of research facilities around the world connected through the accidental quantum network. We are going to win this. He realized, not because we are more advanced, but because we are more unpredictable. The impossible was becoming reality. Humanity was fighting a war they did not know had started, and they were winning through sheer accident and determination. The moment that changed everything happened when Captain Jinwoo Park was drinking coffee in the command center of the Stellar Dawn. The ship had been jumping randomly through dimensions for hours, and the crew was getting used to stars appearing and disappearing around them. Captain, we are about to phase shift again. Navigator Min-hyuk An warned from his station. Jinwoo barely had time to set down his coffee cup before reality twisted around them. The familiar sensation of dimensional jumping washed over the ship, but this time something felt different. Instead of appearing in empty space, they materialized inside something solid. Collision alert, Commander So-young Kim shouted, but the expected crash never came. The Stellar Dawn had materialized inside a massive Valkyrie command vessel, but instead of destroying both ships, the dimensional energies created a stable bridge between them. A glowing tunnel of twisted space connected the human research ship directly to the alien flagship, but in the universe, Chief Engineer Taehyung Shin stared at his readings. We are inside their ship, but we are also still in our ship. The dimensional fields are overlapping somehow. Through the viewing ports, they could see alien corridors and strange technology. The Valkyrie command vessel was enormous, with halls that stretched beyond sight, but the dimensional bridge made it accessible to humans. Marine Sergeant Jisoo Lim had been assigned to the Stellar Dawn for security during their research mission. She had expected to spend months being bored in space, but now she found herself preparing for the first human boarding action against an alien warship captain. Park gave her the go-ahead to explore the dimensional bridge. Sergeant Lim and her squad of 8 Marines stepped through the glowing tunnel, expecting to find heavily armed alien defenders. Instead, they found confusion and panic. The Valkyrie were not prepared for hand-to-hand combat. Their species had evolved in low-gravity environments, and their bodies were tall, thin, and fragile. Their advanced technology had made them overconfident, and they had no experience fighting in close quarters. Private Kyung-ho Min was amazed at how easy it was to overpower the alien crew members. They were maybe twice as tall as humans, but they weighed less and moved slower in normal gravity. It was like fighting people made of sticks, he reported to Sergeant Lim. The Marines quickly secured the alien command center, capturing dozens of Valkyrie officers, including War Prime Thexan himself. The alien commander could not believe what was happening. His species had conquered 17 star systems and never lost a single battle. How is this possible? He demanded through his universal translator. Your species is primitive. Your technology is ancient. Your military organization is chaotic. Sergeant Lim looked at the tall, thin alien leader and shrugged. We are good at making things work, even when they should not work. War Prime Thexan was brought aboard the Stellar Dawn as a prisoner, along with several Valkyrie tactical computers. Captain Park immediately contacted Earth through the quantum communication network, requesting scientists who could analyze the captured alien technology. Dr. Changmin Park, the quantum warfare specialist, was transported to the Stellar Dawn through one of the dimensional bridges that were now appearing randomly throughout the solar system. The alien technology was unlike anything humans had ever seen, but it followed patterns that made sense to someone who understood quantum mechanics. "This is incredible," he told Captain Park after studying the Valkyrie systems. "Their entire civilization depends on dimensional manipulation for everything. Transportation, weapons, shields, communications, all of it relies on quantum field control. But our quantum experiments interfere with their systems." Captain Park said. "Exactly," Dr. Park replied. "Our primitive, chaotic approach to quantum technology creates interference, patterns that destabilize their entire technological base. We have been accidentally jamming their civilization without knowing it." Meanwhile on Earth, the global quantum network had grown into the largest scientific collaboration in human history. Every university research facility and amateur quantum experimenter was now connected through the accidental quantum internet that the alien attack had created. Dr. Dahyun Ryu worked with researchers across 6 continents to develop a strategy for coordinating every quantum field on Earth. The plan was ambitious and dangerous, but it might be the key to ending the war. "If we can synchronize all quantum experiments on the planet," she explained during a global video conference, "we can create a interference wave that will disable every Valkyrie ship in the solar system simultaneously." The calculations were incredibly complex, requiring input from millions of people who had never worked together before. Professor Sang-hyuk Moon coordinated, with researchers from universities, laboratories, and even high school science classes. High school physics student Ga-young Seo in Busan had become famous among quantum physicists for her simple, elegant solutions to complex problems. Her basement laboratory was now part of the global network, and her insights were helping professional scientists understand their own equipment better. "I think the problem is that we are thinking too hard about this," she said during one of the global planning sessions. "The quantum fields want to synchronize naturally. We just need to stop fighting them and let them do what they want to do." Dr. Hyunwoo Lee in Seoul laughed as he realized she was right. "We have been trying to control quantum mechanics when we should be cooperating with it." The plan began to take shape. Every quantum device on Earth would activate simultaneously, creating a planetary-scale interference pattern that would propagate through dimensional space faster than light. The wave would hit every Valkyrie ship at the same moment, causing complete systems failure across their entire fleet. But the timing had to be perfect. A difference of even a few milliseconds could cause the interference patterns to cancel each other out. Instead of amplifying the coordination required, was beyond anything humans had ever attempted. General Seokjin Ko worked with military leaders around the world to coordinate the non-scientific aspects of the plan. Every radio station, television, network, and internet connection would carry the synchronization signal, ensuring that even amateur experimenters could participate at exactly the right moment. Colonel Young-hee Park coordinated with civilian authorities to explain what was happening. The public needed to know that the strange lights in the sky were not natural phenomena, but evidence of an alien invasion that was being fought by scientists rather than soldiers. War Prime Thexan watched from his prison cell as humans prepared their impossible plan. His tactical computers had been analyzed by human scientists who now understood Valkyrie technology better than many of his own engineers. "Your plan will not work," he told Dr. Changmin Park. "Quantum synchronization on a planetary scale is impossible. The field interactions are too complex." Dr. Park smiled. "Maybe for an organized, advanced civilization like yours, but we specialize in making impossible things work through chaos and determination." The Valkyrie had built their empire through careful planning, superior technology, and logical military strategy. They could not understand how humans were winning through accidents, mistakes, and the kind of creative disorder that would drive any organized species insane. Captain Jin-woo Park found himself at the center of the most important military operation in human history. His research ship had accidentally become a command vessel that could appear anywhere in the solar system. The dimensional bridges created by their random jumping allowed instant communication and transportation across vast distances. "We are ready," Captain reported Sergeant Lim. "Every quantum facility on Earth is connected and waiting for the synchronization signal." The war was about to end, not through superior firepower or advanced strategy, but through the largest act of cooperative chaos in human history. Millions of people who had never worked together were about to attempt something that should have been impossible, and somehow Captain Park was certain it was going to work because humans had a talent for making impossible things happen through pure, stubborn determination. The final battle lasted exactly 17 minutes and 12 seconds. Dr. Dahyun Ryu sat in the European Research Center, watching countdown timers from laboratories around the world. Every quantum facility on Earth was connected through the accidental quantum network waiting for her signal. Around the planet, millions of people prepared for the most ambitious scientific experiment in human history. University professors checked their equipment one last time. High school students like Gayung Seo in Busan made final adjustments to basement laboratories. Amateur quantum experimenters who had never published a scientific paper became part of humanity. Greatest coordinated effort. 10 seconds, Dr. Ryu announced through the global network in his Seoul laboratory. Dr. Hyunwoo Lee watched his quantum resonance detector, which had started this whole adventure by detecting the approaching alien fleet. Now the same equipment would help end the war through pure human chaos and determination. 4 seconds. Captain Jinwoo Park stood on the bridge of the Stellar Dawn, floating in dimensional space between realities. His ship had become the communication hub for the entire operation, connecting Earth to the captured alien technology that revealed how vulnerable the Valkyrie really were. 3, 2, 1, execute. Every quantum device on Earth activated simultaneously. From massive university research facilities to simple quantum computers in college dormitories, the activation created an interference wave that propagated through dimensional space faster than light. The effect was immediate and catastrophic for the Valkyrie Fleet War Prime. Thexan watched from his prison cell as his mighty invasion force suffered complete systems failure. Every ship in the Valkyrie fleet suddenly became visible as their dimensional stealth systems collapsed. Their weapons powered down. Their life support systems began failing, and their engines stopped working. "How is this possible?" he demanded, as alarm screamed. Throughout the Stellar Dawn, Dr. Changmin Park smiled as he monitored the readings from captured Valkyrie computers. "Your technology is incredibly advanced, but it all depends on dimensional field stability. Our chaotic quantum interference creates random fluctuations that your systems cannot compensate for. The quantum cascade spread through the Valkyrie fleet like a virus. Each ship that lost dimensional control created more interference affecting nearby vessels. Within minutes, hundreds of advanced warships were reduced to helpless metal shells drifting in space. Captain Park received reports from Earth as the quantum network carried information instantly across the solar system. Every Valkyrie ship near Earth was experiencing the same catastrophic failure. Their dimensional technology was shutting down in ways that alien engineers had never seen before. Lord Thexan, one of his officers, called through the communication system, "Our dimensional drives are failing throughout the fleet. The quantum interference is spreading faster than we can contain it." Thexan stared at the humans who had destroyed his empire through accident and chaos. "We have conquered 17 civilizations," he said to Dr. Park. "Your species should not be able to defeat technology that is thousands of years more advanced." Dr. Park shrugged. "Maybe not, but we are really good at breaking things and then figuring out how to use the broken pieces. We turned our biggest weakness into our greatest strength." Surrender came when Dr. Hyunwoo Lee established direct communication with the Valkyrie fleet using quantum entanglement. His equipment could now reach any ship in the solar system through the dimensional disruptions that were tearing apart alien technology. "This is Dr. Lee representing Earth," he transmitted. "We know you can hear this. Your dimensional technology is completely disabled and will remain disabled as long as we maintain quantum interference. You have two choices: surrender or drift in space until your life support fails." The response came from dozens of Valkyrie ships simultaneously. "We surrender." General Seok-jin Ko coordinated the acceptance of surrender from his command center in Seoul. Military forces around the world moved to secure alien vessels that were now visible and helpless. The most advanced invasion fleet in galactic history had been defeated by scientists using equipment they barely understood: War Prime. Thexan was brought to Earth as the highest-ranking prisoner, where he met with human leaders to negotiate the terms of surrender. He still could not believe what had happened. "Your species won this war by accident," he said to General Ko. "You did not even know you were fighting until we attacked, and your defense was based on equipment malfunctions and scientific chaos." General Ko nodded. "That sounds about right. We tend to stumble into solutions rather than planning them. But how Thexan demanded, how can a species succeed through such disorder? Because disorder is our specialty." Colonel Young-hee Park explained, "We are used to making things work when they should not work. We solve problems by trying everything until something works, even if we do not understand why it works." In the aftermath, scientists began studying Velkari technology with the enthusiastic chaos that had won the war. Dr. Minji Choi, working with captured alien computers, discovered that the Velkari had conquered other civilizations using the same dimensional warfare tactics. The difference was that every other species they encountered tried to develop organized logical counters to Velkari technology, she explained to the Global Research Network. But organized logical responses could be predicted and countered. Professor Jiwan Yang added her analysis. Our chaotic, uncoordinated approach created interference patterns that were impossible to predict. Every time they adapted to one type of interference, we accidentally created 3 new types. The war had revealed something important about humanity and the galaxy. They were not the most advanced species or the most organized, but they were the most unpredictable. And in a universe where most civilizations developed along logical, organized paths, unpredictability was incredibly powerful. Captain Park found himself promoted to admiral and given command of the newly formed Dimensional Defense Force. His ship, the Stellar Dawn, became the flagship of humanity's first space fleet designed to use broken quantum technology and creative chaos as weapons. High school student Gayung Seo was offered admission to every university on Earth, but chose to continue her basement laboratory research. Her simple approach to quantum mechanics had contributed to winning a galactic war, and she wanted to see what other impossible things she could make work. War Prime Thexan spent his imprisonment studying human society and reached a disturbing conclusion. The humans were the most dangerous species in the galaxy precisely because they were too disorganized to be predictable. They had developed quantum technology without understanding it, used it incorrectly by every logical standard, and accidentally created the perfect counter to dimensional warfare. In his final report to the Velkari Empire, he wrote, "The humans won this war through pure accident, using broken equipment and stubborn refusal to accept that their technology should not work. They represent a fundamental threat to any organized civilization because they succeed through chaos." The report concluded, "We recommend avoiding human space entirely. These beings are too unpredictable to defeat through conventional means." Dr. Lee stood in his sole laboratory looking at the quantum resonance detector that had started everything. The war humanity did not know was happening had become the foundation for Earth emergence as a galactic power. Not through superior strategy or advanced technology, but through the simple human ability to make something work, despite having no idea how or why it was working. The Velkari Empire's greatest defeat had come at the hands of a species that won by accident using broken equipment held together with determination and coffee. The galaxy would never be the same because humans had proven that sometimes the best way to solve an impossible problem was to ignore the fact that it was impossible and try to fix it anyway. And somehow that approach had saved the world.